Hello, welcome back to Not Just Another Jessica. I'm Jessica. Today I'm going to bring you along as I prepare to have company over and serve them a lunch. I know having people over can be very stressful for a lot of individuals, and I think it is especially when you're new to it. I've been doing it for a while now, and I've come up with a few ways to have company coming over be fun and enjoyable, affordable, and just kind of easier than I used to make it. So let's get started. The first thing I do when I'm planning to have people over for a meal or socializing is I think about what time of day it is and what sort of food needs to be served. So today my company is coming over at lunchtime, so I began planning a lunch. The next thing I think about is the number of people that are coming and if I know if they have any special dietary needs. Now we have friends that are gluten-free, dairy-free, we have friends that don't eat meat, so it's important to remember those things in preparing the food. People feel more welcome if there's something prepared for them and it doesn't seem like a hassle. It's just done and ready to go, and they get there and they're just greeted by your hospitality and your friendly face. Another thing I really try to do before people get to my house is have everything prepared ahead of time. I don't want to be running around the kitchen or not prepared when they get here. I want it to seem like I am a graceful hostess and that I'm not hurried or stressed. So what I always try to do is plan something that can be made ahead of time and then served. Today what I'm doing is thinking about who I'm serving. I'm going to have 12 people. I'm going to have a variety of ages and a variety of different tastes for food. I don't want to spend a lot of time or a lot of money preparing a meal, so I came up with a simple plan. Last night before I went to bed, in 2 separate bowls, I soaked 2 bags of navy beans in water overnight so they would expand. And then I put those 2 bags of navy beans into my 2 different pressure cookers. So here they are here. The beans have been cooked independently of the soup and they are ready to go. One set of the beans is going to become a sausage and bean soup, and the other set of the beans is going to become a vegetable minestrone soup. So there'll be 2 different options for people. Alongside the soup, I want to make sure there is a bread, and I'm going to be making a really easy, really quick bread, and that is a no-knead focaccia bread. So come along with me while we get this all together and I'll show you how it turns out. Alright, it's time to get started on the focaccia bread. Now this recipe makes a 9x13 pan of it, which is great if you're having a big group over. I'm going to make 2 pans because I want to make sure that there's enough to go around. One of the things I've done with this bread that's been really yummy is to make 2 pans of it and then split it in half horizontally and put filling in it, like pulled chicken or something savory, and then put it back in the pan and slice it, and you can have a slice and eat sandwich. But today we're just going to be serving it as regular bread. So the recipes are, it calls for 3 1/4 cups flour. I'm just using plain multi-purpose white flour today, so 3 1/4 cups of that is going in to the KitchenAid here. I just have my standard mixing blade on this time. Then it calls for 2 1/4 teaspoon yeast, or 1 package. Okay, we'll get that in there. It calls for a tablespoon of sugar. We gotta give our yeast something to eat while it is growing there. And then we need a teaspoon of the sea salt. Make sure our bread is not bland. And we need 1 2/3 warm water so that our yeast will rise nicely. And the final thing that it calls for is 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm going to mix to combine and then pour it into a greased 9x13 pan and allow it to rise covered on a warm oven for 30 minutes. So let's see how this is looking. There that goes. I'm just going to let this go till it's all the way combined. And then I'm going to put it in the pan and then whip up a second batch real quick. Alright, our bread has been rising here on a warm oven for 30 minutes. And I'm going to take a look at it. It's puffed up and doubled in size, so that's exactly what we're looking for in this recipe. And before I put it in, I'm going to brush the top of it with a little bit of olive oil and sprinkle on some Italian seasoning. I'm going to be really careful while I'm doing this to not pop the bubbles that have formed in my bread as it's been puffing up here. So I'm going to try to use a light hand with the pastry brush as I spread the oil onto the bread. And then I'm just going to use the same Italian seasoning blend that I used while making the soup. Sprinkle that on there. Here's our first one ready to go in. Alright, I'm going to start on the soups. I have both of the bases ready with beans and they're hot in the Instant Pot. So now I'm going to chop up an onion for each of the soups that I'm making and get that in there so that it can be flavorful. Homemade soups are a really easy and affordable way to serve food to a lot of people. Most people like soup, and it's pretty healthy. It has a lot of vegetables in it and a lot of vitamins. So it's something that I really like to serve when I'm having a group of people over. If you know that you're going to be in a hurry the day that you're preparing, you can always prepare all of your chopped vegetables the night before and keep them in a glass Pyrex dish. I didn't do that today because I figured that I would have time to do this in the morning. But for any of my big holiday meals or anything where I know I'm expecting a large group and they'll be decorating and place settings or anything that might take extra time away from my time in the kitchen, I will do the chopping and basic prep work the day before so that I can get everything put together the day of really easily and quickly and appear put together and calm instead of being running around and busy and oh my goodness, it won't come together. So that is a tip that I have for if you're having people over is in order to look put together, try to do as much as you can ahead of time. Alright, so I have 2 pressure cookers ready and they each have a pound of cooked navy beans in them. So just little white beans that are all cooked, and I just left the water in there because it has the flavor of the beans and it'll help with the soup. So I'm going to make both of these and I'm going to do it the way I kind of always cook, where it's just pretty casual and I just use what I have on hand. So both of these are going to get a scoop of garlic out of my nice big Costco garlic container. So that's going into both of these. This larger pressure cooker is going to be a bean and sausage soup. So into that I am putting diced onion and a little bit of diced carrot. And I'm going to put the sausage that I have in there. I used 2 kielbasas to cut up for this, just to make sure I have enough for the group. So I'm going to leave this one for a second and I'm going to put ingredients into my minestrone. So for my minestrone, I have my bean base, and to that I am going to add my veggies. And my veggies are chopped onion, chopped carrot, and a bag of the frozen vegetable medley. So it has corn and green beans and whatnot in there. So this is going to be a very veggie-filled soup. Don't want to go too far in here. I think that's as much as I can fit in there without going past my overfilled line. So I'll save that for another soup. And I'm going to put in some crushed tomatoes into both of these. And a little bit of tomato sauce into my minestrone. And another ingredient I like to include in my minestrone soup is marinara sauce. And I like this one from Pioneer Woman. I think it has a good taste. I like most of her sauces. So I'm going to add that in. Alright, and now to my ham or sausage and bean soup, I'm going to add a scoop of Better Than Bullion. Put that in there. And I'm going to add a little bit of the Montreal steak seasoning from Costco. This is a tasty one. So just sprinkle that in there. I always try to err on the side of a little less seasoning because I feel like you can easily add more once you're done cooking it, but you can't take it out. So I try to go light on it at first and then taste it right before I serve it. Now for a final addition to our minestrone, I'm going to add some miso paste. I always do about a tablespoon or two, depending on how big the container is. And I'm going to put in the Italian seasoning blend. And again, just a sprinkle around the top, about 1.5 to 2 tablespoons worth. And stir that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on those and let them cook under high pressure for 10 minutes each. Since the beans are already cooked and our liquid is already hot, it shouldn't take very long for that to happen. And that will be good. Oh, one more thing I didn't add, and that is our frozen chopped celery. Now, I always chop up my vegetables that I don't think I'll use in time and freeze them so they don't go to waste. So I had this on hand, so I'll just drop that in there and drop that in here, and that'll take care of that. Makes cooking a lot quicker and more affordable if you have things ready and on hand. And to this minestrone, the final ingredient is a little bit of pasta. And today I'm trying out this chickpea pasta that I got. It says it has 23 grams of protein and 8 grams of fiber. So we'll see how it tastes and how it cooks up. I'm going to add half a box. So that would be 4 ounces that's going in there. All right, here we go. All right, our soup is done, and I'm now gonna do one of the things that I like to do with homemade soup to make it a little bit thicker without having to add a lot of cornstarch. And that is, I'm gonna ladle a part of the soup into my blender, blend it, and then mix it back in. And that thickens up the broth without requiring any extra ingredients. And now I'm going to make a quick salad to go with our soup and bread lunch. I'm using some of this beautiful lettuce that we grew in our garden this year, and this is our first year of gardening, and it's been really fun to find things out of our yard that we can eat. I wasn't sure about eating the homegrown lettuce, but it is really delicious, and I really do like it. We're also using a few radishes from the garden, and we are using just regular old store-bought carrots because we have carrots planted, but they're not ready yet. So I'm gonna chop all this up and get it into a bowl ready to go. Here's our finished garden salad, most of it from outside, so that'll be ready for all of our company. All right, we're getting everything set out here. We have 2 soups, 2 loaves of bread, a garden salad, some salad toppings, crispy onions, olives. Olives are controversial. Don't put them in the salad. Some people hate them. But one of the things you can do if you're having people over to make it easier is pre-chop that melon the night before and then do what I always tend to do, which is if you have a gray, rainy day where you don't want to do anything productive or there's nothing to do, bake some cookies and freeze them. We're gonna have a whole platter of cookies available for our guests, and I did not have to make them today, but they are still deliciously homemade and ready for them. So there's a tip: cook, freeze, and be ready for company. All right, our bread is out of the oven, and we're gonna do the final step, and that is to drizzle on a tiny bit of olive oil and sprinkle on a little garlic salt. So when all is said and done, today we have made 2 different soups, 2 nice loaves of bread, and a little bit of salad from the yard. Sprinkle this on. All right, let's see what we have. I'll take you through it. Starting at the end, we have minestrone soup, bean and sausage soup, 2 loaves of focaccia bread, a salad from my garden, some salad toppings, olives left out because not everyone likes them, 2 different types of melon, cut them up the night before, and 3 types of cookies that we made and froze so that they are ready and it didn't take us any time today. So we are ready to host 12 people. It took us 1 hour and 15 minutes to create this entire thing, and I hope that it was fun for you to watch this. Hosting people does not have to be difficult or time-consuming, and the most important thing is it's all done before my guests have arrived so they can come in and I will be ready to be gracious and friendly and happy to see them, and I won't be rushing around. One of the things that I haven't mentioned is we will be using regular dishes and not paper because I value not having to throw a lot away. So we have enough dishes for everybody, and when we're done, we won't have a lot of waste from having people over. We have our cloth napkins ready, our regular silverware, and our set of all white IKEA dishes that we have to accommodate groups of 20 or less. So hopefully this was fun for you to watch, and that's how we do hospitality here at our house. I hope you have a great day. Remember to click like and subscribe if you're interested in videos about mom life, budgeting, cooking, things around the house, DIY projects, and all things mom life. Have a great day. Bye.